off money to cell phone relatives in Haiti. A lady in Canada who I interviewed, who was a marketing person, didn't do anything ever in development work, said, you know, I found that, you know, on my Facebook friends, I found somebody who was a diaspora and he knew what to do, so I started working with him. And so this happened, and it was dramatic and it was different. So Haiti was a landmark, which showed that these identity communities and these ephemeral functional communities that develop around problems and systems are a remarkable example of what we call complex adaptive systems, self-organizing systems. And the beauty now is that those are global because of communications technologies. And the beauty also is that Africa has, you know, Africa's had cell phones for a while now. But what Africa is getting now, and we're at the very forefront of it, is broadband access. Do you realize how that's going to change things? So let's, you know, not get, you know, stuck. And I have to say, the sustainable livelihood framework and so forth is the old tradition, is the old rural development model. And we're moving into a world that's quite new and different. And we're right there right now because of broadband. I mean, with the cell phone stuff has been around, it's done wonderful things. People recognize how much it's done, just SMS, right? And just the potential to communicate. That's been a remarkable area of innovation in Africa. Africa has led the way in innovating around cell phone use. And why? Because you have to, right? But you have. And so whether it's crisis mapping, it was born here. It was born through Ushahidi, a Kenyan initiative. And many other examples of very creative use of technology to make this happen, to make this self-organizing complex systems, to make that happen. And that's really, I think, something that everybody should understand in terms of its impact also on measurement of resilience and how we might track resilience. So as we come back to thinking about how we measure resilience, please keep in mind this new paradigm shift in understanding resilience itself, and you know, and how we might capture information about change and resilience over time. Now this is long, and we had some internal arguments about whether I should talk about this. So from the Frankenberger presentation, there are some things, and we could go through a little list of some of the concerns in doing resilience assessment. Do we view resilience as a process or an outcome measure? Frankly, the literature argues on that, and I think it's pretty clear to me. We're looking at both. You know, we're looking at initial conditions of resilience, and we're looking at dynamics that change resilience and so forth. How frequently should data collection take place? It's something you'll be thinking about. And basically, I think it's how you combine these methods, these traditional and more novel methods, because the traditional methods tend to have a periodicity to them, whether it's DHS or LSMS or mix. They have a periodicity to them, and you'll be able to take advantage of that to look at some indicators over time, but in terms of the novel methods, you'll be able to look at those in near real time. Resilience to what we've talked about, and here, let's be clear, most communities we're talking about, even if we're looking at themes, they're still exposed to multiple shocks and stresses. And let's be clear about that. We can zero in a key one that we want to examine, but we've got to understand also that most of those, within those themes, that most of those populations that are exposed to chronic, chronic displacement are also in marginal areas because that's where they're put, because nobody wants to live there, so et cetera. The types of resilience, and I think that here there's you know, the notion of the one indicator versus the multidimensional. I think the jury has decided on that. It is multidimensional, even though you can aggregate it to one indicator. And but also, you know, there is this question of you know, resilience that might be cross many different threats, shocks, and stresses. So there may be resilience that has to do, that's generic, that protects communities against many shocks, right? And then there may be resilience mechanisms that are very specific to particular types of shocks, right? And those two things are important to keep in mind. There are inherent resilient factors in communities, and there are also those that are specific and developed specifically for certain types of shocks and stresses, right?